All right, how are we feeling? It's not a victory Monday. It's not. It is a brutal loss Monday. And so what we're going to look at in this one is how the Lions have a couple of things that they could do. They have a couple of things they should not do. And the answer is simple. The fix is not. And the reason is simple. The fix is not. So I shouldn't say the answer is simple. The problem is simple. The fix is not. And so I think everybody coming out of this game is really, really struggling with a lot of different things that happen with the Lions. They continued to struggle on third down, even though they converted some third and longs. Like, that was something that was a little bit different. All right? But the answer to me is really, really simple. And everybody can talk about John Morton. Everybody can talk about this offense in general. The problem, people can talk about Jared Goff. That isn't the problem. It's not. The single biggest problem with this offense all surrounds the offensive line. It is very, very simple. In years past, the biggest advantage that we had against every single team we played is that our offensive line was better than their defensive line. Period. There is no questions about it. It gave Jared Goff time to sit in the pocket. It gave him time to make his reads. With the defense needing to cover because he had time to make throws, the defense had to cover the entirety of the field. They had to cover short, intermediate, and long passes. So they had to cover all three sections of the field on the defense. This year, the defense does not have to respect that as much. When Brian Flores, the blitzing guru, blitzes more than any team in the NFL, we already knew this, we've always known this, and none of us worried because Jared Goff just rips apart the Vikings defense every single time. The Vikings haven't had a lead in our stadium since like 2021. All right. So we dominate the Vikings at our house. The difference this year between this year and years past was a couple of things. Miscommunication on the offensive line, sometimes simply lack of execution, lack of talent, I dare say, on the offensive line, or guys just flat out getting beat. Jahmyr Gibbs going in and giving a shoulder block instead of a real block when it's his term to have pass protection. There's a reason that David Montgomery was in the game so much as the game continued on. Even with the fumble, they kept Demo in because he was pass blocking. Pass blocking against a team, you like to think you need Gibbs in because you want him to be able to go out the side and be the safety valve. No, you need him in to block too. And so that's why David Montgomery was playing so much, especially in the second half. Gibbs couldn't get going, but he also, I guarantee you, it's because his pass blocking was struggling. So here's the problem. We have a team that is now getting more injured and injured. We have an offensive line that's struggling and an offensive line that's getting even more banged up. All right, look at this. This was said best. This was, I don't know where this article was. I want to say it was in Pride of Detroit. But I'll just read it because this is what they said, and I agree. Starting with the offensive line, almost everyone was banged up after the game. Right tackle Penei Sewell appeared injured. Man, he was like thriving in pain, stinger probably, but never missed a snap. Left tackle Taylor Decker, who was already dealing with a shoulder injury, left with a knee injury, and then returned. Right guard Tate Ratledge left the game briefly, but did return. Left guard Christian Mahogany got the worst of it as he left the game on a cart and didn't return. All right, the one name that's not on there is Graham Glasgow, and it's the one name you can probably afford to miss the most. All right? Look, the offensive line didn't handle the blitz well. You can't blame the crowd because we were home. It was quiet. Operations were as quiet as they could be. You can't now blame the lack of communication because, oh my goodness, it is week 9. All right? It was week 9. We're coming off a bye week. We had a ton of time to prepare for this defense that we play 2 times every single year. I don't know that this was a schematic issue. I don't know that it was. It was simply Jared Goff did not have the time he needed. When Jared Goff had a clean pocket, when he had time, he was great. He was great. He wasn't good. He was great. But what you start to see with Jared Goff, we've always known he can't do off-platform throws. Like, especially in the pocket. He slides and throws, not usually great. He can step. You can twinkle toe to the left or right and have a good throw. He can even roll out and throw decently while on the move. Decently. But when you're asking him to avoid a sack while another person's coming and throw off platform, that's not what he does well. There were and what I saw in this game and a little bit of the game before was a guy who is clearly no longer having the trust in his offensive line that it needs or that he needs in order to be effective. He is starting to have off-platform throws when he doesn't need to. In other words, he's getting the yips. He's getting jittery. All right, he's getting nervous back there because a person on the offensive line, you need 5 guys on the offensive line acting as one. And if you're keeping a tight end or a running back, they have to be part of that. And they all have to do their assignment well. And if they don't, there's going to be a pressure on the quarterback. Good teams will make you pay. Jared Goff, in the past, has been fine with pressure. He's been fine with pressure. This year, especially this game, he was not fine with pressure. Against the blitz, he was not good. And that is the problem. So we know what the problem is. So, and I'll probably do another video about this, maybe tomorrow, I don't know. But here's what I am telling you. The answer is not as simple as we want it to be. The simple answer that everybody wants is Lions get active at the trade deadline. I hate to be the one to say this. They've got to figure it out with what they have. All right, Tate Ratledge, Christian Mahogany, and Graham Glasgow are more than talented enough to handle a blitz pressure. They should be more than talented enough that when Decker and Mahogany have a double team, they shouldn't give up a sack to Hargrave. That's not how it should work. This team should be good enough to do it. They need to fix it with what they have. Nobody you're going to go get right now is good enough to take place of this. This is an off-season fix. This offensive line, whether it's Decker getting healthy, whether it's bringing in a new face, whatever it looks like, this is an off-season fix. The good news is that we have a ton of talent in other areas, so we can devote early draft capital to offensive line if needed. That is my first go-to, and you'll hear me talking about it a lot. The problem is I don't think this is a simple answer as, trade deadline, let's fix it. I don't think it is. I do not believe that to be true, and we can't just throw money at it because we don't have the money, because we've spent it in other places. So, yes, we have to get more creative with the play calls. I understand that. But again, we know what Jared Goff is. There's only so much you can do with a statue. And what you need to be able to do is you just need to be able to create a pocket around him that he can throw in. It's that simple. We've always been able to do it, well, at least for the last 3 years around him with a solid offensive line. We're not doing it right now. That is the issue. Time to spend, time to fix the offensive line right now. What that fixes need to be is a wake-up call. The offensive line hasn't quite heard it yet. They haven't strung together multiple good games, like 3 or more. They've put together good games. It's time for them to grow up fast and start stringing them together and hope that Mahogany gets healthy. All right, thanks for watching. Oh, boy. All right, I don't like division losses. Let's not lose 2 in a row. We know Brad Holmes. We know Dan Campbell doesn't do it, but this could be a tough one. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.